It is a great time to be a comic, especially at a lower level, because comedy is so hot on the internet that if you're like even not long ago, like when I was coming up in comedy, 2015, 2016, the big thing back then was to try to find a short joke and put it on a picture of you doing stand-up comedy and share that on the internet. So you would try to find your shortest joke and put it on a picture of you doing stand-up and hope people got it written down. I mean, obviously video existed, but it wasn't.
It wasn't reels, because when I quit stand-up and I quit everything in May 2019, there was no people just ubiquitous comedy videos on Instagram. You know, I know people were posting on YouTube, but it didn't have that kind of catch that the algorithm developed or was developed during the pandemic. And I just think during the pandemic, a lot of stars were made. A lot of people built their followings during the pandemic, you know, that didn't have one previously. People are now, like, if you're a stand-up now and you're not posting stand-up every week or some kind of funny content every week, it's just that's what you do now. It
blows my mind when I see a comic, and every week is hard, right? Especially if you're not getting tons of stage time. But when I go to their Instagram and they don't have any videos of them doing comedy, I'm like, are you even trying? And then, like, when I'm looking for people like to work with, to do my show or to open for me and do stuff like that, and I go to their Instagram and they're not posting videos of themselves doing comedy, I'm like, well, you're not even trying. Why would I try to help you if you're not even trying to help yourself?
Yeah, I think it's just there's so much potential just if you're on like the three main platforms.
And a good camera is expensive. I mean, the cameras that I use, even for the podcast, I mean, it is the cheapest camera you can get that's 4K. It's still $1,000. Cameras get unreal. That is the cheapest that you can get, in my opinion, for a 4K camcorder. I mean, it only goes up from there. So I'm not suggesting that it's easy, but it's like, you got to do it. You got to make it happen.
Are people not recording on their cell phones?
A lot of people record on their phones. Personally, I am totally afraid to do that. Like, I don't want to leave my phone laying around anywhere, because it's like, if you steal my camera, I'm just out the money, and I'm like, that sucks, and I hate that happened. But if you steal my phone, I'm like, that's a real hassle.
That's a real problem. I never thought about that. But all these comics living in New York and LA, oh my gosh, that must be a real problem. Even just leaving expensive cameras out. Because I remember when I went to LA like 5-6 years, a long time ago, but someone tried to steal my phone in plain sight in Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just right in front of me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's what happens all the time in LA, but I am saying that is probably what happens all the time in LA.
Yeah. Well, you know, and just back to recording, though, it's like, if the technology and, you know, all that stuff had been around, say, 2012, when I stopped drinking and was really getting in, I was doing a lot of open mics, a lot of comedy. If cameras had been better than they were. Now, I'm sure 4K existed into some, you know, whatever, but they were even more expensive back then. But if that kind of technology existed back then, I would have been filming myself at every open mic I was doing, and I would have been posting clips constantly. I think I think that things would have happened faster for me had the technology existed back then, because I was writing shorter jokes. I was more of a short. Now, things happen the way they happen, and I love how it's all happening. But I'm just saying, when people are not posting their stand-up clips, especially when you're not a headliner. If you're not a headliner, I would just put every joke that you have on the internet, because it doesn't matter. People are not coming to see you. They're coming to see whoever you're opening for, and you're just a bonus. But if one of your videos blows up and you suddenly get a huge following, you could start headlining.